It's one of the most anticipated days on the cycling calendar, an event which has gone on to become the symbol of a region and of a people who show enthusiasm for this sport that is rarely matched. Hello everybody and welcome to highlights of the Ronde van Vlaanderen, the Tour of Flanders to you and I, always a veritable festival of the bicycle, and this year celebrating its 100th birthday. Well, a one-day race first won in 1913 when Paul de Man won after 330 kilometres. It's moved on since then, and the highly tech team of Sky alongside the super team of Omega Pharma Quickstep were there to try and take the win. Pipo Bozzado was there or thereabouts a year ago, coming second. Jurgen Roelandts would be a big contender for Lotto Belisol, the home team in this Belgian race. They'd also count on the services of Andre Greipel to try and power them ahead. 12 months previously, Tom Boonen won the Ronde for the third time. He would come into this one short of form. But Fabian Cancellara showed at the Mini Flanders, the E3 Harelbeke race, that he had strong legs. One man yet to win this race, and in fact any of cycling's monument races, was Peter Sagan. But leading the UCI Pro Tour and having won his first classic a week previous at Gent-Wevelgem, the Slovakian champion had to be considered amongst the favourites. The large crowds, both at the race and watching around the world on television, also knew that there were plenty of other names to throw into the equation for what is a notoriously difficult event to predict. The race will begin in Bruges at 10 AM on the first official day of summertime, despite the very wintry weather and freezing conditions. Believe it or not, it's the 31st of March. One of the toughest challenges in the world of sport got a little harder with the harsh weather. There aren't many other races though on the planet that create such an atmosphere despite the inclement conditions. So as the riders were off and awaiting the official start, it would come finally, and the real action would then begin. The second monument of the year, 256 kilometres, 17 Hellingen climbs to overcome, 7 additional sections of cobblestones, beautiful Bruges all the way into Oudenaarde. Well, all set for another running of the route that caused such a stir 12 months ago when the famous Kapelmoor was left out for the first time in 30 years. Today, all the main action again in the second half of the race. 3 circuits south of our finish town before a 13-kilometre ride to the line, and it's on that final long straight road where riders out in front will have to be wary of those chasing behind. And let's go live onto the course, and sitting beside me, Rob Hatch, is Jonathan Harris-Bass to tell us exactly how things are going out there.
Well, as you can see, 156 kilometres to go, and we have a breakaway. Jetse Bol, Jacob Rata, Michael Morkov, Tim de Krooijen, Kevin Klaes, Lawrence de Vries and the youngster Tosh van der Sande are the riders who broke away on the first ascent up the Tegenberg. That was our first climb of the day, and then they ride on here towards what will be the first of their 3 loops around Oudenaarde, where we are currently sitting now.
But the biggest news of the day so far is this: Tom Boonen out of the Tour of Flanders with an early crash. Not good news for Boonen. All of that talk was, would he make it, would he not? In the end, he did make it to the start line. Unfortunately, he didn't make it very far along the road. Worrying pictures of Tomaca.
It really has been a miserable season for Boonen. I was equating it to the season that Fabian Cancellara had last year, where just nothing seemed to go right for him at the crucial times. And you just look at Boonen's preparation. He had the elbow infection, was hours away from having his arm amputated. Managed to battle back from that, and then last week a completely innocuous fall really in Gent-Wevelgem, which put paid to his chances there, and then here again fairly inexplicable how he would fall on one of the flattest sections of the course. It's just extraordinary.
This is the head of the race though. On to the cobblestone sections. This is now the Ekenberg. 1.2 kilometres of cobbles on this climb. Comes 119 kilometres into the race, 139 to go. Again, no shortage of those on the roads. I mean, they estimate that some years you get up to 1 million people on the side of these roads. It is absolutely astounding.
If you ask 100 members of the Flanders community what they'd rather win, the Ronde van Vlaanderen, or whether they would rather win the World Championships or Olympic gold, the Tour de France, whatever, they always want to win this race.
This is the one.
It is the one as far as cycling is concerned in these parts. And just walking through, take away the fact that you walk past the cycling museum, take away that simple fact, every shop window was festooned with cycling memorabilia, and it was quite outstanding to see.
125 k's to go, 1 minute and 6 seconds now. The gap really coming down, and Europcar doing a very, very good job. Molenberg then, 400 meters long. And here we go. This is Greipel giving it a go. He's already tried to get away earlier on today. Lotto trying to light up the race and using their men one by one. Great to see a big sprinter attacking the 17% gradient. Good on you, Andre Greipel. Now this is getting interesting. As one breakaway looks to be coming to an end, another might be about to form.
36 seconds, the gap between the 7-man breakaway and this chasing group now.
So we're about to have a group of 11 riders out there in front. Just under a minute from the peloton. Again, it's not the greatest condition at the moment, the cobbled road here.
And Greipel just injecting enough pace onto the front of it to see them pull their advantage back out to 40 seconds.
So 40 for the moment. And just look at this, a typical Flandrian sight. The flags flying, the beer adverts everywhere, the beer flowing, and some pretty vocal people having a wonderful day out at the cycle.
This group right out in front is looking to press the pace on still. Andre Greipel has been really pushing things along throughout. Great to see a sprinter doing all of this work out in one of the biggest races.
1 minute 19 between the leading group of 6 riders and the peloton that has just upped the pace again as we approach the Oude Kwaremont. So here we go, Oude Kwaremont, 2.2 kilometers. Cobbled climb, it goes up to a maximum of 11. It's more of a steady as you go one, a good climb to launch an attack on. And this is where the real race begins, 76 kilometers out. 3 laps here of a circuit around Oudenaarde will decide the winner of the Tour of Flanders 2013. Look how thin the road gets. Sky have a good presence as well with Edvald Boasson-Hagen. Steiner Vandenberg. Sylvain Chavanel not far away either. Degenkolb, Basayev, all the big names start to flow through with Stannard there as well. Gatto. Got to be in the right place here. Next to come will be the Paterberg. First of 3 ascents of that hill as well. On we go then. Second climb of the big ones. Paterberg, 186 kilometers in here. It's a short one. It's only 360 meters long. It could decide the race later on. There are some big gradients here. And look how tough this gets. And listen to the noise as well here. There are thousands and thousands of people on the Paterberg today. 32 seconds, it says, the difference. Not sure it's that long, to be honest now.
In the back of their heads, nagging away, will be the fact that in 7 kilometers time, it's the Koppenberg. 600 meters of climbing there, but with that vicious 22% gradient at some point. So it is always going to be a moment when you're just getting over the top of this one that you know the worst is still to come.
So on to the Koppenberg. This is a beast of a climb. Maximum of 22%. This one gets really nasty. Was actually excluded for a few years following an accident between the Commissaires car and a rider back in the 1980s, but it's brought back in 2002. But now it's the peloton's turn. And this is going to get interesting. There's Cancellara, problems already as well behind. Cancellara getting involved. Oh, and once you've stopped there on the steepest part, look, he can't even get any traction on his bike. Get off and walk for a while. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's pretty horrible out there. Nicky Terpstra now. No wonder that camera's flashing. In the meantime, oblivious to all of that up the front are 5 breakaway riders. Kwiatkowski, Chalingi, Greipel, Seeberg and De Vreese. 2 riders from Lotto. So we're inside the last 60 Ks. Look at these people desperately trying to get out the way. Some of them leading a little late for my liking. Problems for Radio Shack and problems for Fabian Cancellara. Here we go. This is big news for him. Cancellara, it's a back wheel as well, needs to be changed quick. All down to the mechanic now. Cancellara, luckily for him, I'm sure, will be escorted back up to the front, but a moment's panic and a bit of extra energy expended, perhaps just when he was starting to think of maybe 25k's time or whatever, launching his big attack. So good work from Fabian Cancellara. Not too far off the back of the peloton. Works his way past Thomas Vauclair and is back in the group.
As things currently stand, this breakaway of 7 riders now. You'll see the main peloton swing into view any second now. That's the difference between them, just 31 seconds or 32 seconds the advantage as things currently stand, as they approach what will be their second loop around the very tricky climbs of the Oude Kwaremont and the Paterberg.
So again, jockeying for position on those bike lanes on the outside of the roads. Can be a dangerous job if you get caught up at the wrong time. You have to know the roads, really. At least have a good look ahead. In the meantime, the breakaway are on their way up. Oude Kwaremont for the second of 3 times. And a couple from the own breakaway here have been shelled back towards the peloton.
The chasing peloton now.
I think a few more beers have gone down since we were last here. The singing's got that little bit louder. Sagan, superbly placed still for me. 36k's to go. Next up is the Paterberg for the second of 3 passages. Sylvain Chavanel quickly. Oh, there's a rider down, and it's a Sky rider. It's Geraint Thomas who's hit the deck. Looks as though he'll be okay to carry on, but that's not what Geraint Thomas needed.
It's been extraordinary how many of the riders that we've seen who've come off have been riders that we've been proposing as potential winners of this event, because, okay, they have to be in it, but it's been very few riders who have been unaffected by issues have been the ones who you think, oh, well, it doesn't really matter if they're affected by an issue or not. I mean, Geraint Thomas was a genuine chance for Sky, and it's going to be really hard for him now. Cancellara's had a problem as well. His probably happened early enough for it not to have too major an impact on his hopes for winning here. Oscar Gatto, though, was looking so good, and he suffers a puncture as well.
Sylvain Chavanel on the right-hand side. Peter Sagan on his own and at the front, in the right place. Perhaps trying to make sure he preempts any attacks from Fabian Cancellara.
I just wonder if what he did last week was a little sign to show I can do this as well, you know, as they come onto the Paterberg for the second time.
Here we go. 360 metres of pure pain. It's the Paterberg. Second time around out of the 3. Oh, look at this, what a sight. This is spring in cycling world. This is what we want to see. Flags flying, riders emerging out of them. And a superb atmosphere. BMC strengthening numbers as well. Remember, there'll be a left turn at the top of the Paterberg here. Out of your picture and away on that fast ascent again towards the Hogeberg now. Oh, Juan Antonio Fletcher. Thought it looked like him. Change of bikes. And again, pretty poor timing. Fletcher, another name to perhaps count out here. Oh, the big boys are falling. We've had Boonen go, Thomas fall back, Paolini, Terpstra.
But the 2 who stay out there, Sagan and also Fabian Cancellara.
So Inu away with Arnaud Demar, and Rollins is going to join in here. Has company from one of the Europe car riders as well.
And Radio Shack just with the 1 out at the front at the moment, dragging things along, but they do have Fabian Cancellara sitting a little further back. Edvald Boasson-Hagen is sitting in there for Sky at the moment. And with 27 kilometers to go, with 2 climbs to go. The questions that remain are, who's going to make a move first?
Once more, that group continues to thin out bit by bit. Say between 40 and 50 riders there. So here we go. Oude Kwaremont time for the final time. And on his own is Jurgen Roelants. Sagan here ran out of power last year whilst attempting to chase down Alessandro Ballan, who'd already made a move. Did recover and managed to bridge the gap with some strong acceleration on the next climb. Has he learned his lessons here? That's the question. 2.2 kilometers of cobbled climbing, the Oude Kwaremont. Maximum 11%. It's a steady as you go climb, really, for the ones in this race. Third and final time, and it is the penultimate climb of the race. Ino, followed up by Kwiatkowski. There's Turgo in the green of Europe car. Joan Alfredo just behind him for Française des Jeux. And look who's leading them up here. Peter Sagan, right at the front of the peloton as they climb up behind. Now, here goes Cancellara, maybe. Sagan right on his wheel. And this is where Cancellara might just attempt to ride away from them. That is certainly what is happening. Cancellara putting down the hammer and being willed on by the many supporters at the side of the road. He's already bridging the gap to Alfredo, but so far Sagan is staying with him, as is Steiner Vandenberg and Edvard Boisenhogen. Langeveld not too far behind. This is interesting here. Cancellara stepping up the gas now. He knows this climb well. This is exactly where he rode away in the E3 Harelbeke a week ago. I should say 9 days ago, pardon me. Sagan right on his wheel, and he's not letting Cancellara out of his sight. Finally, the attack has happened, and this is suddenly stunning stuff at the Tour of Flanders.
Well, finally, we have a race on our hands here, and Fabian Cancellara really is trying absolutely everything. Roelants is out in front, he's over the top, and he's going to be finding his way back down towards the Paterberg in just a few moments' time. But we have Cancellara just soldiering on here up against Sagan, and Sagan is finding it relatively easy, by the looks of things, at the moment, to hang on to his coattails.
Cancellara still there, Sagan just about on his wheel. So just 3 seconds behind the main group at the moment. Fabian Cancellara, Peter Sagan and Jurgen Roelants at the head of the race. Roelants is waiting for them. He knows there is no use in riding off on his own here. So 3 of them in a group together, leading the race with 16 Ks to go. 1 climb remains, that is the Paterberg. A third and final ascent of the icon of Belgian cycling. The last climb of the day. And it is a bit of a leg buster.
Good pace being used here. They get ever closer to the Podium. Questions that are being posed about that particular climb now, of course, are whether Peter Sagan can stay on Fabian Cancellara's wheel when they go into it.
And they're approaching the Paterberg. 1 right turn up here. You can see the crowd already on the hill as it rises. It's only 360 meters long. There are huge gradients here. And this time last year, Sagan was the strongest. He doesn't need to ride away, though, here. It's Cancellara, the man who needs to put in a leg-busting attack. And this is where the race could well be decided. The Lion of Flanders flags roar them up the Paterberg. This is where Sagan kicked 12 months ago. If he goes again here, will anybody be able to follow him? But I don't think he needs to. It's all the pressure on Cancellara. However, further behind, evidence that the race could still yet come back together. And we might be about to see, for one of the first time in Flanders history, some version of a mass sprint, which would be rather bizarre.
The Swiss fans out in force here to try and bay Fabian Cancellara up the Paterberg. Puts down another gear, tries to pull away. Sagan is out of his seat, just hanging on, but Cancellara's eked out a small advantage. He's managed to get him off his wheel at least, but I think Sagan's done enough up there It's certainly taken its toll on the Slovak, though. You just look at him there, and Cancellara has made a difference there. Sagan's going backwards, and Cancellara pulls away.
Cancellara has it then. Now then, we have a race on our hands. It's a question of a few seconds. I don't think it's anywhere near enough, by the way, but we shall see. He has that little bit of a gap that he likes, and he now has to ride for his life. Cancellara on the left-hand side of your picture. Sagan just behind him, a matter of seconds behind him on the right. 12 seconds now, and Cancellara's made the difference. Now, this is where he becomes so difficult to catch. Good news for Sagan is that he has company, but we all know about Cancellara's time-trialing abilities.
Fabian Cancellara is looking back to his best. People who said he was never going to win another Classic again, he proved them wrong by winning the semi-classic E3. Is he going to prove them even more wrong here by winning yet another monument? This will be his second victory in the Ronde van Vlaanderen, and this will be by far the more epic.
We shall see how it plays out, but to me, it already looks like it's game over, I think. 34 seconds, and unless Cancellara suddenly implodes, don't see any reason why he will do. 4Ks to go for Cancellara. And look at all these people on the road to welcome him into Oudenaarde. In fact, the Tour of Flanders Museum is here in Oudenaarde. Look at this now, 1 minute 10. This is absolutely incredible. I mean, Roland and Sagan looking round at each other saying, did that just really happen? They must be as amazed as we are. Head buried into the handlebars from Fabian Cancellara. The Swiss star really is back this year. 2012 to forget. Certainly this race this time last year is in hospital, already recovering from a broken collarbone. So this the view all the way into the line. Oudenaarde. Cancellara then into the final 250 metres, finally starts to slow up. Out on the pedals, stretch out, a look behind, look at the difference. Celebration with Dirk de Mol in the car. And look at this, Fabian Cancellara thanks his lucky stars, but I can tell you, he can thank his team and himself for a devastating acceleration on the top of the Paterberg, because after 6 hours, 5 minutes, Cancellara wins the Tour of Flanders for yet another time. Roland's waiting for Sagan to leave it out. Roland then is going to go wide and open it up himself. It's Roland against Sagan, but it's going to be no competition as Roland sits up himself, accepts his own fate, and it will be Peter Sagan. Second monument of the year, second place for a second time, and Jürgen Roelandts, who from a very courageous breakaway manages to take third before Christoph will sprint over for a fourth place to continue his own wonderful run of results.
Cancellara, many congratulations on your second Tour of Flanders. It all happened with that one moment on the Paterberg. Let's go back to that moment.
Yeah. You know, the goal was to win, and things sometimes you can't predict how they're coming, because it's just amazing. I mean, 1 year ago I was on the ground, and now I'm back, and I won Flanders on the new course, and winning as a big favorite is not easy, but just happy, and I'm really happy.
You had to get rid of them on the Paterberg.
Yeah, we came to Kwaremont. Everyone expect that I will go. I tried to do the first selection because I think I had this nice feeling today that on the cobbles I can go, because I suffered on all the rest of the asphalt climbs, but on these cobbles, I don't know, somehow I have this special love with that, and I went and was with Peter, and we came up to Jürgen, and on Paterberg I saw many Swiss flags, but on the end, I did what I had to do, bring this Ronde van Vlaanderen home.
Fabian Cancellara, king of Flanders for a second time then. The man they call Spartacus, showing that on his day, he's one of the most powerful riders that we've seen in recent cycling history. Time to celebrate what was an exhibition from the Swiss rider, but it does mean that Peter Sagan continues to wait for his monument win. Jurgen Roelandts, a very good third place for the Belgian team Lotto Belisson. Alexander Kristoff in fourth, Laan Agnew making a very respectable fifth place. We're off then to the Schelde Prize. See you on Wednesday for that. Remember to join us for more on Flanders Classics. Until then, from me, Rob Hatch, Jonathan Harris-Bass and the team, it's goodbye.